30 days, no Instagram, no TikTok, no Twitter, no YouTube shorts, nothing. And I want to tell you exactly what happened to my mind, my mood, and my productivity during those 30 days. Because some of it I expected, and some of it genuinely shocked me. Let me start by telling you why I did this. I was sitting one night scrolling through Instagram and I realized I had been scrolling for 45 minutes. 45 minutes. And I couldn't tell you a single thing I saw. Not one thing. Not one thing, it was just noise. Colorful, endless, meaningless noise. And I put my phone down and I felt genuinely worse than before I picked it up. And I thought, what is this actually doing to me? So I decided to find out. 30 days. Complete cut. No social media of any kind. The first 3 days were the strangest part of the whole experiment. Before I get into the podcast, subscribe and turn on the notification bell because what I'm about to explain to you is important. Because I didn't feel free, I felt anxious. Every few minutes, my hand would reach for my phone automatically, like a reflex, like my body was doing it without asking my brain first. I would pick up the phone, open the app, and then remember, oh, I deleted it. And I would put the phone down, and then 5 minutes later, same thing, pick up, remember, put it down. It happened probably 30 times a day in the beginning. 30 times without exaggerating, and that number alone terrified me because I didn't even realize I was doing it. It was completely automatic, completely unconscious. That's not a habit, that's an addiction. And I think most people who use social media every day, if they are being honest with themselves, are addicted. Not in dramatic way, in a quiet, normalized, socially acceptable way. But addicted nonetheless. By day 4 and day 5, the automatic reaching started slowing down. My brain was starting to accept that the apps weren't there. But what replaced the reaching was something I didn't expect. Boredom. Real uncomfortable sitting in a room with nothing to look at. Boredom. And here's the thing about boredom that nobody talks about. We have made boredom impossible in modern life. The second you feel even slightly unstimulated, you open your phone, you never have to sit with boredom for more than 10 seconds. But boredom is actually important. Boredom is when your brain starts generating its own thoughts, its own ideas, its own connections. When you are constantly feeding it content. It never has to produce anything, it just consumes. But the moment you take the content away, it wakes up. And around day 5 and 6, I started noticing thoughts coming that hadn't come in a long time, even dreams. Random ideas, creative connections, solutions to problems I'd been stuck on. Not because I was trying to think of them, just they appeared. Because my brain finally had the space to produce them. That was the real sign that something was changing. Week 2 was when things got interesting. My sleep changed dramatically. I was falling asleep faster, waking up feeling more rested. And I think the reason is obvious in hindsight. I wasn't lying in bed scrolling until midnight anymore. I wasn't flooding my brain with blue light and stimulations right before sleep. I was just going to sleep. And waking up without immediately reaching for my phone changed the entire tone of my morning. Before the experiment, my first 5 minutes every morning were other people's content, someone else's opinion, someone else's highlight reel, someone else's drama. That was the first thing going into my brain every single day. Without it, my first thoughts in the morning were actually my own. That sounds small, but it's not small. It changes everything about how your day starts. My focus also changed in 2 weeks, and this one surprised me the most. I started being able to sit and work for longer periods without feeling the urge to check something. Before the experiment, I would work for maybe 20 minutes and then feel this pull. Just check Instagram quickly, just see if anything happened, and that pull would break my focus completely. And getting back into deep work after breaking focus takes time. Every time without social media, that pull just disappeared. And I had stretches of 2, sometimes 3 hours of completely uninterrupted focus. Work that would have taken me a full day was getting done in the morning. I'm not exaggerating my productivity in weeks. Productivity in week 2 was probably double what it normally is, maybe more. Week 3, this is where it got philosophical. Because by week 3, the practical benefits were clear: better sleep, better focus, more creativity, more time. All of that was obvious and real. But something deeper was happening that I didn't have a name for it at first. I stopped comparing myself to people, and I didn't even realize how much I was doing it before until I stopped. Every time you open Instagram, you are seeing without choosing to a curated highlight reel of everyone around you. Their locations, their money, their bodies, their relationships, their success, their growth, all filtered, all selected, all designed to look as good as possible. And your brain, whether you want it or not, processes that as comparison data. Am I doing as well as them? Am I where I should be? Do I have what they have? Most of the time, you don't even consciously notice you are doing it. It happens in the background, but the emotional residue accumulates and slowly, quietly makes you feel like you are behind, like you are not enough, like everyone else has figured something out that you haven't. 30 days without that, and that feeling just lifted. Not because my situation changed, nothing in my actual life changed, but I stopped feeding my brain the comparison content that was generating that feeling in the first place. And I felt genuinely more content with my own life that I had in years. That was the biggest thing. Bigger than the productivity, bigger than the sleep, the contentment. Week 4, the final stretch. By week 4, social media felt distant, like something I used to do. The automatic reaching had completely stopped. I didn't think about it much. I was just living, working, thinking, talking to actual people. And I noticed something in that last week that I went and I want to say carefully because I think it's important. Real life got louder. When you are constantly consuming content, real life feels kind of dull in comparison because content is designed to be stimulating, it's optimized, it's exciting, it moves fast. Real life conversations, work, walks, quiet moments, those things can feel boring compared to the constant stimulation of a feed. But after 30 days without the feed, real life started feeling rich again. I A real conversation with a real person felt genuinely interesting. A walk outside felt like something worth paying attention to. Quiet felt comfortable instead of something to escape from. My threshold for what felt interesting and meaningful had reset. And I think that reset, that recalibration, is one of the most valuable things a person can do for themselves right now. Because we are living in a world that is deliberately engineering our attention towards screens. And the cost of that to our focus, our creativity, our mental health, our ability to be present is real. And most people are paying it without even knowing. Day 30 came, and here's the honest answer to the questions everyone wants to know. Did I go back? Yes, I went back, but differently. I reinstalled Instagram. I went back on Twitter, but with rules I didn't have before. No phone in the bedroom. No social media before noon. No scrolling after 10 p.m. Time limits on every app. Specific times for checking. Not constant passive all day consumption. And it's different now. I use it instead of it using me. At least most of the time, here's what I want to leave you with. You don't have to do 30 days. But I want to ask you something honestly. When was the last time you were bored? If you can't remember, that's the answer. That's why you should try this. Because in that boredom, in that space you've had been feeling with content for years, there are thoughts waiting for you, ideas waiting for you, a version of yourself that is more focused, more creative, more content, and more present waiting for you. All you have to do is put the phone down long enough to meet them. Try it, even for a week, and tell me what happened. Drop in the comments. Could you actually quit social media for 30 days? Be the hardest part to give up. That would be the hardest part to give up. I want to know. Subscribe. I will see you in the next one.